Most people don't fail because the path is wrong. They fail because they try to leap up the mountain in one step instead of taking those simple little steps. The real shift happens through micro commitments. I'm going to repeat that. Tiny decisions that are repeated consistently. What's one action so small that you can't talk yourself out of it? Momentum isn't created by intensity, it's created by consistency. A path becomes real through movement.
All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be when you're watching this, or you're listening to this, or you're sharing this. Whatever it is your first time here. I am Blair Armstrong. I'm Team Armstrong Coldwell Banker. I'm a global luxury specialist in the world of residential real estate. And on my left, possibly your right, is the other host of the show, Brent Wright and Brent Wright Incorporated. We'll get depth of about who we really are, but we are old guys still rock. We are in episode number 131, I believe.
132, buddy. 132.
See what happens when you become old guys. You kind of forget what day it is, especially when you live out here in this beautiful, beautiful Coachella Valley. We were sitting around after a round of golf yesterday. I'm like, I know this is a bad question, but what day is it? And it's just because every day is kind of like a Friday here, which is a good thing and a bad thing. So anyways, again, we're old guys still rock. We're episode number 132 today. In just a little bit, we are going to get into part 2 of what we talked about last week. And basically we talked about, how do you choose your path? And this week it's going to be about, now that you've chosen your path, what comes next. But again, I'm Blair Armstrong, global luxury specialist in the world of residential real estate here in beautiful Palm Springs, California. As I said, Brent Wright is on my left, possibly your right, depending on how this gets edited. Brent Wright Incorporated, man with many different hats, from payroll companies to body shops to detail shops. He is a monetary contributor to his wife's business of Wright Wellness Center, located in beautiful Eugene, Oregon. Multiple property owner. Really great part about Brent, and again, I've known him for almost 30 years now. He is a really good business coach and personal coach. So you're like, yeah, but I've never heard of this guy. He doesn't have any books out. He doesn't sell anything, blah, blah, blah. Well, we're going to make it real easy and free for you to check him out. Go back and look at the other 131 other episodes. Really listen to what the wisdom that he has to share to not only help you get better, but if you're feeling stuck with business or life or whatever it may be, you just kind of got that pothole, which we talked about last week, and I just can't get rid of it. Really good wisdom to hopefully help you get out of it. So go check out 131 episodes and then call him. And if you don't like him, then call me and I'll help you out. So we'll do that. But anyway, the real cool thing, which we've been really talking about last week, and as I mentioned last week too, I'm super proud of this guy. He got into a venture capitalist with about 3 other guys that he has met through the course of business and through Arte and stuff like that. But they have bought a business called bustedtees.com.
Yep.
So if you stream your TV, which more and more of us are doing right now, you're going to really see them prevalent. All of a sudden this commercial comes in like, what's this bustedtees.com? That's him right there. That's him right there. Well, it's Kyle Vanderlinden and some other guys in there. But anyway, so it's really cool. If you're looking for novelty t-shirts, this is not an ad because I'm saying it and I don't belong to the company. So if you're looking for really cool novelty t-shirts, from The Price is Wrong, Bob, to Star Wars, to it goes on. Go to bustedtees.com, check it out. If you like novelty t-shirts, they're right there, and they can even custom make some stuff. So that's not an ad because we don't have advertisers. So that being said, dude, how are you?
Good. Just to give you some stats, because I love these stats.
Yeah,
it's just
stats
tremendous. So on our Busted Tees Instagram page, which you should check out, we had 105 million views in 7 days. We had added an additional 4,800 followers on our Death Star Digest page, because again, Star Wars theme is kind of a lot of what we do in Busted Tees. We had 144 million views last week. 144 million. We added 8,000 followers in the last 7 days. It's just tremendous. It's just, I can't even fathom that. Like, it's so crazy.
The t-shirt.
Yeah.
And see, that's why I said it again. I think that's another feather in your cap. Like, who is this guy? So this was a long analytical process for not only him, but for the other guys that are part of this. And they're all contributing in different ways. You're just seeing Brent right now or listening to Brent right now. But it was a very smart business decision to like, oh, hey, there's a t-shirt company. Let's go buy this. Da-da-da-da-da. This is going to be really cool. It was months and months of talking and planning and blah, blah, blah. So that's why I said is, if you're in business or you're stuck in business or you're looking to buy a business, probably want to reach out to these guys, or especially Brent, as I said too. We're connected 6 degrees of separation, probably 1 degree of separation that could really help you get over that hump to get you to the next step. So, dude, that's awesome, man.
Speaking of Instagram, we have our new Instagram page for OGSR. Okay. Old Guys Still Rocked.
Do it right now. Press pause on this podcast. Go to Instagram. Follow us right now because we're going to put some cool stuff. Obviously, we're going to have our videos on there. Brent's really good with putting up, sayings of the days and stuff like that. But their whole premise behind this, again, if you haven't watched this before, is we are looking to help you get to the place that you're having a hard time going through. And another side is, if you've gotten to that point, it's going to be a great spot for you to say, hey, I was struggling here, and this is what I did. We talk about building community. We talk about doing this stuff. There's no white horse that's going to come in to save us all. So here's 2 guys that are looking to grab some other guys and girls and really start building community to come back together what it was back years and years ago, where everyone worked together for the better of good. So if you're that type of person, jump on board, brother, and strap in because we're going to some cool places. So let's get into part 2, dude.
Yeah. So in our last episode, we talked about choosing your path, not drifting, not defaulting, but deciding with intention. After that episode, something interesting probably happened for our listeners. And it's no different than setting your goals for the new year, things like that. After the first 30 days, what happens? The excitement settles, and then you start asking yourself questions, right? And so one of the questions you might have asked yourself last week is, after listening to our podcast, is, I think I know my path, but what now? Mm-hmm. That's the question we're going to unpack today. Because choosing your path is the first step. We talked about this last time, action. Walking it is where your life starts to shift. Now, you gave me some feedback pre-show about walking it where your life starts to shift.
Yeah.
You want to unpack that a little bit? Or?
Yeah, I walked in today, and I am not typically, as you saw, we have a little bit different background. It's kind of like an old school when we first started the podcast. And actually, the ironically thing is, I look behind us, and what was used to be the podcast room is now into our conference room. But I walked in, and I looked where my camera, we charge our camera after every episode. Long story short is I went in there, and it wasn't plugged in. I'm like, okay, well, maybe it was already charged. And so there was just nothing there. So bottom line is, I had a small panic. Old Blair started to creep back in. I had my phone. I'm going to text Brent. We can't do it today. We don't have a real camera. Da-da-da. And I'm like, wait a minute. Dude, we go on vacation. I've been, 2 episodes in Hawaii every single year. We go do a computer. Why can't we do it today? Maybe the sound would be a little bit different or whatever. But I was going back to Old Blair to make excuses to go around it. So we talked about the path last week, right? And then you're going down the path, and all of a sudden there's this big pothole. And Blair used to go around the pothole because it's the least path of resistance. So I did today. I know it sounds like, dude, just use your computer. It's not a big deal. The point of it was I mentally said, I started making excuses in my head. I'm like, no, we just talked about this last week. Jump in the freaking pothole, get in there and fill it up and just proceed forward. Now, this wasn't a major pothole. It was enough to go ahead to feel it. But the point of it is again, I know I've said this a bunch of times already. Old Blair would have come around and try to find different ways, excuses, but what am I really solving? And then we also talked about this too last week. Yeah, I might have thought that it may have only affected me, but Then I have to go think about, okay, it screws up Brent's schedule because he's time blocked this time.
Mm-hmm.
And then the most important part of it is, what happens if we miss that one person today?
Mm-hmm.
And the ripple effect that has. That one poor person knows another person, knows 3 people, that knows 4 people, that knows 5 people, that knows 10 people, that knows 20 people. And so that one little effect, and I know that I'm taking a small thing and trying to make it, well, dude, you're not that big. How do you know?
Well, we know this. We know this to be true. We have very few followers. I say very few, like we don't have 1 million followers.
Right.
But what we notice is that across our platforms, we have thousands of views every week from people who don't follow us. We have thousands of downloads from people who don't follow us. And what is that ripple effect? The reality is that our demographic is old people that still rock, that can't figure out technology on how to like and share, right? And so we talked about that multiple times.
Right.
But the reality of our podcast last week is we created clarity. Clarity for you. You just explained it. Clarity for others. Clarity feels amazing until the first step asks something of you. And you just went through this. So you had clarity last week. And then this week it asked something of you. And then you're like, okay, so I have resistance. Now I have doubt. Now I have discomfort. Now I have old stories from old Blair. I fear looking foolish. I fear disappointing others. It's all normal. The fact is, it's a sign that you're moving in the right direction. And you said this, your old identity fights for survival.
Yeah.
Your new identity is still forming, and this tension is the birthplace of growth.
Yeah. This is so good, right? I mean, when you have that, and again, we want to fight, that's ours. The word change, it's one of those things that everyone hates to. It's like, I hate change because it means growth, right?
And it hurts.
And then when you keep doing it over, I was actually just talking to a colleague of mine that walks in and like, she's newer in this office, and she's like, I was showing my daughter around and we went to your podcast room, and she's like, oh my God, how cool is this? She's like, I didn't really know that you had a podcast. And I'm like, well, okay. So what do we talk about? So we just basically explained it. I used it in this week's meeting, using that path. Everyone has been given a path. We talked about, just a little overview of what we talked about. So everyone has been given a path. All paths are different. All people are different, blah, blah, blah. But when the going gets rough, and there is that, as I said, there is that hurdle or that path in that path, we tend to, okay, we'll go through it once, but then it hurts so bad, we stop going through them, right? And we stop jumping over them or whatever. We just like, I'm just going to take a little bit of detour, and I'm going to come back into this a little bit later. So when you explain that, it puts a picture in people's minds that, what I do, I'm guilty of that. Or, some people are like, I just don't worry. I just don't worry about the potholes. I've heard that too. I just don't worry about them. Okay. Are you not worrying about them because you're going through them? Or are you not worrying about them because you're going around them?
Well, we talked about it last podcast about using those as a tool. Some people just ignore them. Some people will blaze right through them and not sit in it. Right. We had a podcast somewhere around the 70 or 80 mark that talked about just sitting in it and understanding the lesson that is being taught to you, really dissecting the tension. In essence, taking your planning model and dissecting that tension. So whether you use Core 4, whether you use OGSM, whether you use SMART goals, whether you use SWOT analysis, there's a bunch of different tools that can get you to understanding what it is that you're going through. But it's that tension that should trigger you to go to a tool, not just freak out.
You brought up Core 4 there from Sean Whalen.
Well, Core 4 is even before Sean Whalen. He calls it Core 4. Everybody uses the same 4 or 5 tactics and techniques to get to the same goal. It's just what you call it.
But so here's the thing. So we're given tools, right? Like, so we've done 131 episodes. We've given a lot of tools. We got a lot of easy buttons. We got a lot of stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, and what Brent is saying too, which should be a trigger in your mind when you hear this, like, okay, I have all the tools. Are you using them? That's the big part about it, right? So we can go ahead and read 1,000 books. We can go do a bunch of different things, that read 1,000 books, go to a bunch of different seminars, be a bunch of different things, listen to this podcast for 1,000 times, whatever it is. Are you actually taking those and implementing those into your life? Now, there's certain things that we've talked a couple of episodes about. This podcast has not only helped me, but it's also helped Brent. It's helped a lot of others too. But it holds us accountable subconsciously, because here's we are, is we're giving you all this thing, and if we're not taking them
And applying them.
what's the point of doing this freaking podcast, right? Sound like a bunch of yo-yos, like, oh, you just as guys, you just go ahead and point fingers and do this, this, and this. No, we talk about it to the point is it triggers us in here, and so when that situation comes up and we try to go around it or try to go through it the wrong way, we're like, stop, we just talked about just 2 days ago, get back in there. Today we're talking about things where we can apply this towards business. I've used a lot of my stuff through relationships. I struggle with communication in my relationship. I'm getting better. I am not trying to be less combative and argumentative because I feel like I'm being pushed in the corner. That old Blair still comes out, but it's a work in progress.
Well, one of the tools was tell me more. When faced with a discussion that might be heated,
right?
Change your response to tell me more.
Yeah.
Ask questions.
Or hear. I think the big thing is I always got super defensive, right? So my hurdle with communication, especially with my wife, and I'm still this way, and it makes me angry that I get this way. It's just angry at myself. It's embarrassed at myself that I would get stuff because I take it as like, gotta do all this, and they find one wrong thing about me, like it's never going to be good enough. That's just bullshit, dude. At the end of the day,
and it won't, because you continue. The harder you push, the more potholes you're going to find.
Right.
Are you ready for a tool?
I want a tool. Chrissy needs me to have another tool.
Yes. So the next segment is the subject matter is the importance of micro commitments. We've talked about this a couple of times with the easy button discussion and things like that. Most people don't fail because the path is wrong. They fail because they try to leap up the mountain in one step instead of taking those simple little steps. The real shift happens through micro commitments, tiny decisions repeated consistently. I'm going to repeat that. Tiny decisions that are repeated consistently. Ask yourself, what's one action so small that you can't talk yourself out of it? You talked about that earlier. You were going to talk yourself out of doing this podcast because you had a little hiccup. Momentum isn't created by intensity, it's created by consistency. A path becomes real through movement, not through planning.
Say that one more time on that one.
A path becomes real through movement, not through planning.
That's a big one right there. So I really want to stop it. I really want you guys to do just that. You can plan on, like, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to start my diet.
I've got my 2026 plan.
I've got a plan. I'm going to start a diet on Monday. I'm going to do this. Like, that's great. Plan it. That's awesome. Write it out, do it. But if you're not going to execute on it, what's the point?
Or did you build enough sub-items to hold yourself accountable and to consistency?
So sticking with that without movement on there, again, it goes back to like, okay, you're given all the tools and you're not using them the right way or you're using them at all. It's not using them the right way because sometimes it takes a long time to understand how the tool really works. As long as you keep playing with it and doing something, so finally it becomes second nature. Like when you started working in the body shop, right? You didn't become this master painter overnight. It took time over the course of stuff. And now you have this great business and you're employing a lot of people and doing some different things and you're teaching them, and they're learning how to use the tools the right way and becoming comfortable. And like, instead of going like this, maybe I need to come up and down like this, whatever it means. Talk about painting a car. That's the same way with business. You can go ahead and be in one career and go to another career, but if you go to the other career, there's tools that you can take with you that will apply to that, but there's other tools you're going to learn. So you constantly have to fine tune things to understand it, like which I just said a little bit ago, my communication skills. I've got a long ways to go. And being 57 years old and being stuck with these things that I made an excuse. This is who I am. We talked about that a while back.
Mm-hmm.
This is who I am. You got to like it or like it. That doesn't work, bro. It doesn't work for anything.
Nope.
So anyway, it's just, that's what I said. What Brent really said in the bottom there is, you can have everything, but if you're not going to take action to use them, then don't talk about what you learned.
Well, it becomes an identity shift. You have to become the person that walks the path. Choosing a path isn't just about where you're going. It's about who you're becoming along the way. Have you changed?
Yeah.
Have you changed in the last year? Have you changed in the last 2 years? Have you changed in the last 5 years?
Absolutely. Yeah. But it's a long ways to go, right? I mean, the standard.
But you have to celebrate the win. Are you proud of who you've become in the process?
That's a big thing right there. It's another big hurdle that people that are striving for more, celebrating those wins. I have a hard time with that now.
Well, and it goes back to sitting in it. So you have to sit in it.
Yeah.
And I very rarely curse, but I'm going to quote somebody. So this is a direct quote. Are you celebrating in the shit? Are you celebrating in the win? Are you sitting in the shit? Are you sitting in the win? You have to do both. It's about reflection. You have to reflect. And here's the truth that most people avoid. Your life doesn't change until your identity changes. You have to commit to killing off the old person to get to the new person. So you have to ask, what beliefs do I let go of? What habits don't fit the future I'm building? And what would I be without old limitations? Or who would I be without old limitations? Your path requires a new version of you, not someday, but today. But now, right now.
Boy, I love that, because you said, basically, are you dying to the process, right?
You have to die to yourself.
To die to yourself every day, right? Every day. If we want to be in constant involvement. Now, some people are very happy at being status quo. Not anybody that listens to this show, but there's people out there that will say, yeah, I'm just good where I'm at. I'm really happy.
I know a guy who lives in your area. He's got a house in La Quinta, and he had this whole plan. I'm going to retire. I'm going to move to La Quinta. Perfect. What does that mean to you? Well, I'm going to get up, and I'm going to have nothing to do. I'm going to go do what I want. What is it that you want? That's a good question. And I touch base with this guy every year. And so far, he's 2 years in to living in La Quinta, and he is bored to tears. He doesn't golf. He doesn't drink. I don't know what you do in La Quinta if you don't golf and drink.
You can go hiking, but that gets a little old for a while.
Well, he's not in physical shape enough to go hiking. So like, what? He's just sitting there waiting to die?
But that's what are you coming back to? Like, okay, that's awesome that you got to retire at 50, 60, whatever it is, or maybe you were retired at 40 years old. But that's not you don't have to work anymore. That's a problem. But what is your real purpose? What are you doing to help others or help yourself or get society to a different level?
How many episodes of Big Bang Theory can you watch?
Wheel of Fortune. Oh, I know. So it's just, yeah, there's a couple guys that we have here, and I asked them the same question. Like, so you're like, a year or 2 years into retirement, do you love it? They're like, yeah, it's just great. But so, don't you ever get bored? No, but their thing is, too, is maybe they watch this. I don't know. Because McCumber and I talk about this a little bit. But your conversations don't get it. They're so shallow. So how was your golf game today? Hey, what did you do? Well, I was at number 5 and I hit this one shot. And that's all their life is. And you're like, God, there's got to be something more than that. There's got to be something more than that. And so I think it's awesome to retire. I would be bored out of I'm really good at sitting at home and watching TV for a couple of days, but then I start getting really antsy, then I get angry, and then I have to go to the gym or do something, go on a hike, whatever. I don't think I could ever get to that spot that just do nothing.
Well, he had a path, is my point, and now he's he's at a crossroads. Maybe this is a detour that he needs to do something, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the detour myth is what happens when life doesn't go in a straight line. You have a health issue, you have a health scare. So let's talk about those detours. People think a detour means that they failed
Mm-hmm.
or chose wrong or need to start over. Could be true, could not be true. Detours are the measurement part of the OGSM process, the SWOT analysis, the SMART goals, all of those things. Detours are just data, redirection, refinement, training, feedback, and clarity in disguise. Clarity in disguise. Every detour teaches you something your main path couldn't. Instead of asking, why did this happen? Ask, what is it teaching me about my direction? Because we know that your path is rarely straight. It's spiral. Each loop brings you closer to alignment. And when you're stuck in a loop, a feedback loop, I talked about that about 3 or 4 episodes about me being stuck in a feedback loop. Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result, is a definition of insanity. Feel like you're going crazy? Because you probably are.
And then you ask, as you said, then you ask your question, like, how do I get out of this? You're really the only one that's keeping yourself in.
Well, you have to evaluate, how did I get here?
Yeah.
And what do I need to change? And what opportunities do I have to change?
But don't you think too, you have to evaluate, right? But you can sit there and like, if you don't make those changes, you become that person who said, well, this is just my lot in life. This is just who I am.
Well, you have to make a decision. We go back to what I said about 2 segments ago. You have to make a decision. And sometimes you don't know how to rebuild the path. Sometimes you don't know that you're even stuck until somebody smacks you upside the head or life smacks you upside the head. And so going forward, you have to build a path with support. We talk about that in here, about building community. We have to build a path with support. Here's a nugget. A strong path isn't walked alone.
When you said that, it reminds me to think, if you're kind of stuck in this mediocrity or they're stuck in this path that's kind of maybe going nowhere, do you think that people stop hanging out with you?
Yep.
Because they don't see there's like, well, this guy's, it's just the same thing every day. There's really no advancement. There's not a lot of mustard on this sandwich.
So 2 things happen. You're either excelling to the point that you are a mirror and it's uncomfortable for them, or you're stuck and it's a mirror and it's uncomfortable for them. Those are the 2 reasons that people change. We've talked about it before. Everything has a reason and everything has a season, no different than people. Everyone has a reason and everyone has a season in your life. There's a reason that you're in my life. Over the last 25, 30 years, there's a reason why we've had 1-year segments, 5-year segments, 3-year segments. We're 2.5, 3 years into this podcast segment. Is this the end for us? Probably not. But will our relationship evolve over time? So say 5 years in, we decide this podcast isn't serving us and we need to change. Are we going to stop talking every day? It might change. The dynamic might change.
Yeah.
The discussions might change.
But yes, I hear what you're saying. And I say no because we've been friends for 30 years and it was just absolutely impossible. But again, it comes to investment. It goes back to what I said is, I may have said this last week or maybe said this to somebody else. But what I go back to, like, we have been complacent, all of us, to a certain extent, have become complacent with our standard. And we've got to get back to the standard is constantly moving. The standard is getting better. Like, okay, I got better today, so my standard's a little bit higher, but better today. And not only have your standard get better, but you also help other people's standard get better. And going back to this, you say this all the time. I say this all the time. Everyone's looking for this easy button. It's not there. And I know that you guys hear this all the time. There's nothing easy that's going to be easy about your path. I don't care if you're a multi-billionaire or you make $32,000 a year, whatever that is. It's just that everyone is going to have their own hurdles. The thing which you can change outside of income is where my standard is. How am I contributing to society? How am I contributing to my neighbor? How am I contributing to my spouse or to my family and doing different things? Regardless of what happens in the past. And we talk about this all this time. The past is there. Don't look in your rearview mirror. You've heard that 1,000 times as well. The point of it is stop looking for someone to come in. You've been given this path to be great. Talked about this. You've been given this path to be great. God is going to allow potholes in that path because he knows that you have the power to go ahead and fill those potholes and then say, hey, by the way, if this pothole happens to come into your path, give me a shout. I know how to fill it.
Well, and you've said this before, and we've just said this during this podcast. Most people ask the question, what if I'm stuck? What if I feel like I can't do it by myself? What does that look like? What's the tool I need? What do I do? How do I get out of this? You need to surround yourself with people that encourage you, that challenge you, see a bigger version of you, and who remind you of why you started. You have to be open to the mirror exercise, ultimately. And you need to distance yourself from those that keep you small. We've talked about this. I get people all the time. When's enough enough? Well, my standard is enough is never enough. My standard is good isn't enough.
Right. This is not me.
Well, then what are you?
Yeah.
Who are you? What is it about you that you like? What is it about you that you want to change? And how can I help you get there? You may not be on the same path as me, and we don't have to even talk about my path. Let's talk about yours. Are you open to that? Tell me more.
Good conversation pieces right there when your dinner.
Yeah. Well, when you're at 4:30 in the desert and it's dinner
special
time.
Hits.
And it's dinner time, right? So
yeah, I talk about this all the time. I just feel like people are so scared to go to that, that second level of conversation or try to get to the third or fourth level. And my patience has run super thin. I have, and maybe I stated this a couple episodes ago, but people actually like what I've said around here or make fun of me about it, but it's hit home to them enough to say, when we go to dinner, I have a cutoff rule. No more than 6 people, me and 5 others. That's it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And they're like, wow, that's kind of bold. And I said, it's not me to be mean. It's like, I want to have a conversation with like meaningful stuff. Mm-hmm. I want to like get to know what's in here. And I want to have this and I want to build a relationship with you. Where did that come from? There was years ago, Blair was topical. Hey, how you doing? Good to see you. Hey, this is the way you can help me. I'll talk to you later. Bye. And now I'm like, okay, let's get into it. Let's really build this relationship, not only now, but we build it to what do we call a kingdom relationship that's going to go on forever and ever and ever and ever. And let's start that today. That's what's in my mind when I meet you. And listen, some people are not like that, and that's okay. And that might be a relationship for a season. But when I first came out with that comment, again, this was a pothole that had resurfaced years ago that I circumvented, that I just like, I don't need to know anybody. My circle's still very small, but once in a while I'll put one more in there and it gets a little bit bigger, but there's going to be intimate relationships. But when I say that, people are like, yeah, that makes sense. So then I go around, we'll be invited and there's 10 people at the table. I'm like, can't go. Because I'm just being, it's super shallow. So people know now that, and then sometimes I don't get invited. And that's maybe a little bit of a detriment to it because there's, like, hey, there's 8 of us, like Blair only like 6 people. No.
Maybe you need to get uncomfortable with that and be okay with that.
Brent, it's not that I'm not okay with it. It's just so loud and everyone's talking over everybody. And there's nothing. There's no,
that's the worst thing for me because I don't know if I've even told you this, but I am like technically deaf.
Yeah.
And with that comes layers of complication for me. Too many conversations, too much input. Like if people are talking in the vehicle, like when my daughter's talking and my son's talking and my wife is listening to something on her phone and the radio's on in the truck, I'm in meltdown mode. Too many inputs, too much, too just everything, right? And so I know that limits me on what I hear and the quality of what I hear.
Right.
Because I just check out. So I've been really, really trying to adjust me to each situation and put myself in uncomfortable situations so I can conditioned my mind to take those inputs and to be okay with them. It's uncomfortable and it's tough because I really have to focus. The one thing that's helped me, we have a new thing at the wellness center. It's called Brain Tap.
You talked about this, yeah.
It's tremendous because it's teaching me. I specifically and strategically listen to these where one person's talking in one ear and another person's talking in another ear in those sessions.
Wow.
And it's retraining my brain to be able to take multiple inputs. All the while, it's flashing lights in my eyes and reprogramming my brain to take multiple inputs. That has helped me. But I had to be okay with that because it sucks. It's an uncomfortable deal for me to be. I can't even do 6 people, dude.
Yeah.
It's tough. And so I've had to retrain myself to be able to do that because it's important that I hear, acknowledge, and really take to heart the inputs because I don't want to miss out on a word my daughter says. I don't want to miss out on a word my son says. I don't want to miss out on anything that my wife is saying.
So what you just did and what I just did are something that exactly kind of what we've been talking about the last 2 weeks. You had a pothole that you're addressing. And it's going to take a little bit while. So you're in that pothole. You're still going down the road, but the pothole's still there. Yeah. And I'm addressing this and I'm filling this up to go ahead and make that pot smoother. I just said, hey, if there's more than 6 people, I'm freaking out. I don't want to have that conversation. So what we talked about at the beginning of this episode is here I go around the problem.
Yeah.
And then go about this and being selfish. So everybody that's called me selfish about doing it that way, you're absolutely right. I try to justify it in my roundabout way, but I can train myself. So again, this is why we do this podcast, is that we go ahead and like one little trigger. Now, this is meant for you guys, but as I said to you, this is a lot of times, this is therapy Thursday for us as well. But I was circumventing an issue because it would just at least path of resistance. And this is who I am. Enjoy it.
So what I heard you say is you want me to box up and send you a brain tap device.
Amen. It's my Christmas. My mother-in-law asked me what I wanted for Christmas. And I said, well, ma'am, I really don't need anything. Well, obviously I need a brain tap because I continue to make excuses for different things. And even though that I think that it was, in my mind, the way that I was pushing what my issue was with 6 people, it was an issue with that. It was almost to the point now that I think about it, I just don't care about anybody else.
Well, and maybe that's what you're giving off. So you made a choice there, right? So the choice is if someone constantly questions your path, maybe they're not meant to walk with you. Maybe they are. You have to decide. Only you can decide. You made a choice. Okay, Brent's questioning my path. Do I take that one on the chin and walk away, or do I take that one on the chin and walk towards it, right? So you have to choose your journey. Nobody can choose it for you. You just chose me as your companion in this journey to even question, is what I'm doing valuable or is it holding me back?
Right.
You had to make a choice in that moment. And maybe you didn't have to make a choice. You made a conscious decision to make a choice that Brent's questioning my path. Do I go on this journey with him or do I walk away?
But yes, and that's a right about way. But here's the thing of if I walk away, I become a hypocrite to what we talk about once a week. Talk a mean game, Armstrong. Really cool when you're on camera. Really cool when I'm listening to you. You don't do any of the ish that you talk about, or you only do some of it.
Well, our wives have called us out on the stuff we talk about here, so my kids have too.
Yeah, I got called out yesterday, and I'm like, yep, you're right. Got to be a little bit more compassionate.
High five. Thank you.
And made some adjustments and doing some different things. And in my mind, I'm like, okay, I'm doing this, and this, and this, and this, and this. And you're going to pinpoint on this. I'm like, what the hell?
Well,
freaking go do it. And
is my choice consistent with my standards, and does it serve me? Is it reasonable, or does it get me to my outcome? right? We've talked about this. It's right on my wall. My decision making 1 through 4. I've given you guys that tool in a previous podcast. I will give it to you again. Every decision has to be made with these 4 inputs so you can modify the output. Does this serve me? Is it reasonable? Does this get me to my outcome? Is this consistent with my values and standards?
Right.
And you inadvertently may or may not have been aware that you made that conscious decision using those 4 tools that we've given in the past.
No, spouses are always harder to give you advice or to listen to advice from your spouse. Doesn't matter what side it is.
Well, they're not giving you advice. Let's clarify that. They are giving you feedback that you have to choose to either loop in or to ignore. The problem wasn't the problem. The problem was the solution.
And being stubborn, your best friend or your good friend or whatever, your colleague, to go ahead and give you the same feedback that your significant other, wife, spouse, husband, whatever, and it hits a different set in your ears.
When you guys watch this, watch his body language from a couple of minutes ago and then watch it change as he wrapped his head around it. Mm-hmm. This is where the magic happens. You have to make a choice to uncross your arms. You have to make a choice. You sat up, you stepped forward, you brought your arms down, and now you're open to change.
Doesn't mean I'm not going to be punching wind.
Well, 85% of communication with others and yourself is nonverbal. Listen to what I said. With others and yourself is not verbal. So if you're struggling with something, try talking to yourself about it in the mirror and pay attention to your physical attributes and what you do and how you respond when you talk to yourself about a problem that you have. Yeah. Another tool
too is, I mean, Brent, the mirror thing is the best because you get to see what Brent is saying. You watched me change. I wasn't aware of that. He was looking at a different light. So watching yourself as a mirror too. I really enjoyed journaling over the past year. It's been a big thing for us since the beginning of 2025 for me. It gets some stuff out and I can find myself halfway through like, dude, you're talking about stupid stuff, bro. Why are you upset about this? Mm-hmm. What is it going to, well, how is this going to change your life? And so it's just, again, it's a concept.
Question for you. So what value has making one simple little change that we went over early on in our podcast, I believe 6 or 8 or 9, what is the one change, and I'm going to give you the change that happened, but how has that added value to your relationship, and how has that added value to your life? Just one simple change that we did. You started opening your wife's car door.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the door is lava.
The door is lava. What has that done for you?
A lot. I mean, it's still talked about to this day. And she knows that I get mad, like if we're in a hurry. She's like, I know I'm not supposed to touch it, but I'm getting anyway. And it triggers itself in my mind now. I mean, it's stupid, or getting the door or whatever.
But it's a standard that you right? set for yourself that is non-negotiable.
But potholes, right? Again, everything that Brent is talking about and everything that I've said on here too, these are constant stuff that we've had potholes in our life, and they could have been from 50 years ago, and they're now just being filled today. So it's not something that's just like a pothole from last week. It could be a childhood trauma. It could be a past relationship with boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, whatever it is. If those potholes are not being filled now, they're going to show up again somewhere along the road. So just get in it, roll up your sleeves, get freaking dirty, and get after it. Take these last 2 episodes, take the last 131 episodes, go back and listen. There's tools to fill those past episodes in there. Yes, maybe you aren't going to fill what I just said. Maybe you're going to fill a pothole that was from 40 years ago. Maybe you weren't alive then. Maybe you're going to fill one from five years ago that needs to be filled. I'm constantly filling these things that I've circumvented for years and years and years. And I'm telling you, from someone that is a massive procrastinator, it's freaking not going to get you. You're going to answer to them one way or another. Sooner or later, you can delay it all you want. It's going to come up and it's going to punch you right in the face. And it's not going to care. And you're like, yeah, probably should have answered that one a while back.
Yeah. So final words, because we're getting long.
Yep.
These last 3 or 4 episodes have been amazing. 5 episodes have been amazing. I'm grateful for you to be here to dissect yourself and allow to be dissected and to take those tools and apply them. I'm proud of you. I feel I reap the reward and the benefit every time I interact with you in this podcast. And so I just want to say, from me to you and from me to all of our listeners, your path isn't a place, it's a practice. Your path is less about arriving somewhere and more about becoming someone. It's a daily practice of choosing intention, choosing alignment, choosing your next step, and choosing yourself one day at a time. So as you guys move forward this week, Blair, going into next week, what would it look like if I trusted my path a little bit more? What would it feel like if I trusted myself a little bit deeper? Because the path will rise to meet you when you start walking on it. So on that, go make a damn difference. And until next time, stay aligned, stay curious, and keep moving.
A lot of freedom right there, brother. A lot of freedom in life right there. Just do those things. I am not going to say much because that was so freaking good. Anyways, you guys, thank you guys so much for tuning in again. This is episode number 132 for us. If you haven't done so far, just what we said at the beginning of the episode, hit that subscribe button. I don't care if you listen to Spotify, Amazon, whatever your platform is. Hit the subscribe button, then you automatically be notified when new episodes come out. If you like or don't like something that we said, especially on the YouTube side, leave us a comment. Tell us what your thoughts are. But most of all, share the freaking show, man. We need more of you, and this is how we're going to make the changes that they tell us that are going to happen. But the changes are going to come for me, from Brent, from you, all these other guys that are following us. So until we see each other next time, guys, stay safe, but most of all, God bless. Take care.